If you're over 55 and haven't looked closely at your retirement accounts lately, there's a good chance you're already behind on rules that changed at the start of this year. We're talking about your Social Security check, your Medicare premium, how much you're allowed to save, and how the IRS treats money coming out of your 401k. Most people don't find out until they open a letter from Medicare or Social Security and wonder why the number is different than they expected. I don't want that to be you. Picture this. Robert is 63. He's at his kitchen table with his coffee, going through the mail, and there it is. A letter from Medicare. His premium went up again. Right next to it is a statement from his old 401k, and the number doesn't quite make sense anymore because the rules around how much he can contribute and how his catch-up contributions get taxed changed this year. Robert isn't confused because he's careless. He's confused because nobody explained these changes to him in plain English. That ends today. By the end of this video, you'll understand what changed with Social Security, what changed with Medicare costs, what changed with your 401k and IRA rules, and one new rule buried inside a law most retirees have never heard of that could quietly cost you money. Later, I'll show you the one change that surprises almost everyone, especially higher-income retirees who assumed their old strategy still worked. It doesn't. Stick around for that. Quick favor before we continue. If you find this kind of plain English retirement breakdown helpful, hit subscribe here on Mr. Retirement. Every week, we turn confusing government rules into something you can actually use, without the fear and without the sales pitch. It really does help the channel, so thank you. Let's start with the check that lands in your bank account every month. Social Security recipients got a cost of living adjustment this year of 2.8%. Think of it like a garden hose the government turns up slightly every January to try to keep pace with rising prices. It's not a raise you earned. It's an attempt to protect your buying power. For the average retired worker, that pushed the typical monthly payment up by around $56, from about $2,015 to roughly $2,071. Widowed spouses receiving survivor benefits saw their average payment rise by about $52 too. Here's where Linda's story matters. Linda is 68, and when her check went up, her first thought was relief. But what Linda didn't realize, and what most retirees don't realize, is that a bigger Social Security check can quietly push you into paying more for Medicare. That's not a coincidence, and it's not something the government advertises. We'll come back to exactly how that connection works, because it's one of the most overlooked traps in retirement planning. Now let's talk Medicare, because this is where a lot of that Social Security increase gets eaten right back up. Think of Medicare Part B like a toll booth you pay every month just to keep your basic coverage active, whether you visit the doctor or not. That toll went up this year. The standard Part B premium climbed to $202.90 a month, nearly $18 more than last year. The annual deductible rose too, up to $283 before coverage kicks in for many services. Here's the part that catches people off guard, and it connects right back to Linda's bigger check. Medicare uses something called IRMAA, Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. Think of it like a set of stairs. The higher your income climbs, the higher step you land on, and the more you pay. This year, single filers with income above $109,000 or married couples above $218,000 land on a higher step, and their monthly Part B premium can jump anywhere from $284 up to nearly $690. Some retirees pay almost $700 a month for Part B alone because of where their income landed 2 years earlier, since Medicare looks back at your tax return from 2 years prior. This is exactly why a retiree taking a large withdrawal from a 401k, selling an investment property, or doing a big Roth conversion in the wrong year can accidentally trigger a much higher Medicare bill 18 to 24 months later without seeing it coming. Keep that in mind. We'll circle back to managing it smarter later on. Now let's shift to saving, because if you're still working, even part-time, there's real opportunity in this year's rules. Think of your 401k and IRA like a set of buckets you're allowed to fill before the water spills into taxable accounts. This year, the IRS raised how much those buckets can hold. The standard 401k limit increased to $24,500. If you're 50 or older, you get an extra catch-up bucket worth $8,000, bringing your total to $32,500. But here's something brand new this year that most people your age have never heard of. If you're between 60 and 63, the IRS created what's called a super catch-up. Instead of the standard $8,000 catch-up, workers in that 4-year window can contribute up to $11,250 extra, pushing total contributions as high as $35,750 this year. Think of it like a bridge that only appears for 4 years of your working life. If you're 60 through 63 and still earning a paycheck, that bridge is open right now, and it closes the moment you turn 64. David found this out almost by accident. He's 62, still consulting part-time, and his advisor mentioned the super catch-up almost in passing. David had no idea that 4-year window existed. Rules like this change quietly, and if nobody tells you, you simply lose the opportunity. IRA limits went up too, though more modestly. The standard limit rose to $7,500, with the catch-up for those 50 and older increasing to $1,100, allowing savers to put away up to $8,600 total. The income ranges that determine whether you can deduct a traditional IRA contribution shifted upward as well, so it's worth checking where you land this year rather than assuming last year's numbers still apply. Now here's the change that genuinely surprises almost everyone. This year, a rule tied to the Secure 2.0 Act fully took effect. If you're 50 or older, still working, and earned more than $150,000 last year, your catch-up contributions can no longer go in as regular pre-tax money. They have to go in as Roth contributions instead. Think of it like a toll booth that used to accept cash, but now only takes after-tax dollars. You still cross the bridge, but you lose the immediate tax deduction on that catch-up portion. For higher-earning pre-retirees counting on that deduction, this one rule can shift your entire tax strategy. And if your employer's plan doesn't offer a Roth option yet, you may not be able to make catch-up contributions at all until it's updated. Susan, a 61-year-old nurse manager, nearly maxed out her catch-up the old way this year before HR caught it and explained the new requirement. If she hadn't asked, she'd have run into a real problem at tax time. One more piece most retirees overlook, and this one is about giving, not saving. If you're 70 and a half or older, the IRS lets you send money directly from your IRA to a qualified charity through a qualified charitable distribution. Think of it like a direct pipe from your IRA to the charity, bypassing your taxable income entirely. This year, that ceiling rose to $111,000. And for people over 73, these distributions count toward your required minimum withdrawal. Mary, a retired schoolteacher, uses this every year to support her church without adding a dollar to her taxable income, while still satisfying her required withdrawal. It's one of the cleanest tools in the tax code, and shockingly few retirees use it. There's also a smaller rule worth knowing if long-term care is on your radar. Under Secure 2.0, savers under 59 and a half can now withdraw up to $2,500 a year from an IRA or 401k, penalty-free, to help cover premiums on a qualifying long-term care policy. You'll still owe regular income tax, but you skip the early withdrawal penalty, making that protection a little less painful to fund. So let's turn this into something you can act on this week. First, log into your Social Security account online and confirm your new benefit amount. Don't just estimate it. Second, check your latest Medicare premium against the standard $202.90, because if you're paying more, that's a sign your income crossed an IRMAA threshold. Third, if you're working and between 60 and 63, ask your plan administrator whether the super catch-up is available to you. That window only lasts 4 years. Fourth, if you earned over $150,000 last year and you're 50 or older, confirm with HR whether your catch-up now has to go in as Roth. And fifth, if giving is part of your life and you're 70 and a half or older, ask your IRA custodian about a qualified charitable distribution before your required withdrawal deadline this year. None of these steps take more than a phone call or a few minutes online, but each one can save you real money or protect you from a surprise letter in the mail. That's what good retirement planning really comes down to. Not predicting the market, but knowing which quiet rule. Changes are happening in the background, so you're not the last one to find out. Robert called his plan administrator after learning about the super catch-up, and he's now putting away thousands more than he thought possible, all because someone finally explained the rule in plain language. Linda checked her IRMAA bracket and realized she had a full year to plan around it before it hit her premium. That's the whole point of this channel. not fear, just clarity, so you can make confident decisions about the retirement you've worked your whole life to build. So here's the question I want you to sit with. If a rule changed on your retirement account today, would you even know? For most people watching, the honest answer is no, not until it's too late. That doesn't have to be you anymore. If this video helped, do 3 things for me. Give it a like. It genuinely helps more retirees find this channel. Subscribe to Mr. Retirement so you don't miss next week's breakdown. And if you know someone approaching retirement, send this video their way, because this could save them real money. Drop the word rules in the comments so I know you made it to the end. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'm here every week to help you retire smarter, with more confidence and a lot more peace of mind. I'll see you in the next one.